Welcome to the Artist Work Ethic Podcast. I'm Mike Pelak. I'm a screenwriter and filmmaker who's always looking to maximize my time and potential as I work to break in. In this podcast, I talk to artists of all kinds who have seen success in their fields about their process, habits, and work ethic. Today on the show, I've got Wordsmith. Wordsmith is an LA-based street artist. He's known for his iconic image of a vintage typewriter featuring different sheets of inspirational text. Spray painting and wheat pasting outdoor walls with thousands of works since 2013, Wordsmith can be found in cities throughout the world, including London, Paris, New York, Philadelphia, and New Orleans. All right, Wordsmith, thank you for joining me today.
It's great to be here. Thank you for the invite.
All right, so the first word of yours that I stumbled upon on one of my Los Angeles trips, I think I was walking down Melrose with my wife, was your do something every day word. Do something every day to remind the city why the hell you're here is one of the principles that I now keep in my mind as I work towards my goals. And it's kind of a base level work ethic for me. I don't think you need to be sleeping 4 hours a night to have a good work ethic. I think keeping that in mind of doing something every day to progress your arts or your endeavors is very important. How do you apply that sort of habit to your own work?
Well, all the words that I've painted and pasted on walls are stuff that resonates with me. That's how the whole thing works. So if you're asking about that specific word, I was living in Hollywood, right in the 30-mile zone. And if you don't know the meaning of that, or if anybody listening doesn't know the meaning of that, look it up because it's cool as hell. It's how TMZ got its name. And I moved to Hollywood to write, to just do creative writing like I had always dreamed about. I was working in advertising in Chicago. And I quit one day, and that cliche started heading west. And I plopped down in Hollywood, and I absolutely loved it. And I say that even when I was struggling, and Hollywood can be tough and rough, but even when I was struggling, I was so happy because I was chasing my dream, because I was surrounded by creative people, and I fed off that energy every day. So what I'm getting at is, as I really digested what Hollywood was all about as a writer, and then eventually as a street artist, that was a mantra, because I think it's the people that go there and put their head down and do the work and persevere and do something every day to remind the city why they're here are the ones that are passionate. And it's that cliche that it doesn't feel like work, you know what I mean? And if you do succeed, it's just amazing. So I started wordsmithing on a whim, and I just wanted to put up messages saying things to people in Hollywood that I wish they would have said to me when I first arrived, because it took me a while to learn stuff like that. So if you're asking specifically about that, that's where that came from. It was also paired around the time really early, and this one did not survive. It just wasn't, I haven't done it as much, was you came here for a reason, and time does not change that. Because I saw that with a lot of people. They're like, I've been here for 5 years and I just haven't done anything. And I'm like, and let's say I was talking to actors, you know what I mean? I was like, you are doing stuff. You're acting every day. You're getting into the room. And when I say the room, it was auditions. They'd come, we would do happy hours, and people would just be so bummed about, like, you know, not doing well in an audition or not getting the role. And I just had this mentality, and I still do in every walk of life. You are chasing your dream. You're getting in the room. You are acting every day. And sure, success or money from doing that is great, but you have to enjoy the journey along the way. You have to get the thrill out of digesting sides and getting into a room and acting for these people. And sure, if you get the part, it's a bigger thrill, but you can't be miserable, you know what I mean? And this was me as a writer, like I spent a lot of time alone. I spent a lot of time in front of a computer, and I love it. You know what I mean? And that's bizarre to say to people, but I love it. And you have to enjoy, again, I wrote screenplays. I wrote a novel that eventually got published, but you have a lot of rejection, and you have to take that and just remember the process that you loved and the enjoyment you got from doing what you want to do. And again, if success follows, it's thrilling. But going back to the do something every day, it's just, at first it was a mantra for Hollywood. It just made so much sense. But then very quickly, when I started wordsmithing, I started realizing it wasn't just about Hollywood. I always say there's like stockbrokers in Chicago that want to act, and there's dentists in the Carolinas that want to write a book. The chasing of the dream and dreaming bigger is worldwide, universal. So even something like that, do something every day to remind the city why the hell you're here, is anywhere you are.
Sure. And to your point that you have to enjoy the process, I've talked to, fellow screenwriters who I think they enjoy the outcome and they enjoy trying to market their script and sending the query letters and waiting for those competition results, but they don't necessarily love to sit down and write. And writing can be hard. You and I both know that. It's not an easy thing that just flows right out of you in perfectly formed structure on a whim. That's definitely an important point to take away from this, is you have to enjoy the process. And if you don't enjoy the process, maybe it's not necessarily maybe you're not following the correct thing for you.
And another thing, this was later, this was just a couple of years ago, but I refined it over the years. But another thing, and this came from muses, you know what I mean? There was a lot of, there was a woman in my life that was in the industry, and a lot of it came from that, like conversations. It's also just conversations with people in Hollywood, like these thoughts would kind of form. And that's where a lot of the creative ideas came from. But what I was getting at is I wrote this one because it was important. It was do it for yourself, do what makes you happy, do what you love, and then hope what you do resonates with others. Now, there's a lot in that thought, but at the basis of it is what I saw of people chasing it to just, to be famous or be the next anything, be the next Rihanna, be the next Robert De Niro, whatever you want to attribute. And it's like, no, you have to find your voice, whether it's as a writer, a singer, or a director, anything. You have to find your voice and do it for yourself and make sure it makes you happy and you're loving it along the way, because it's just embedded in there. And then if that success comes from that happiness that you have on a daily basis, it's just, your mind will explode in such a good way.
When you realized that the art path was really working for you and was clicking and resonating with people, how did you make the most of the opportunities that started coming your way?
Well, I'm a very positive person, a very passionate person. And there's a little bit to that story in that when I started doing street art because I was spending so much time in front of the computer, I knew I needed an active hobby. So I got this crazy notion because I loved street art. And at first, I didn't think I could do it. I thought I would do like stickers or something very small, but I just wanted to go out there and do it. Like, it was thrilling. It was great. But once I got that idea, which is I paint a typewriter, and then back in the day it was wheat pasting a page above it. Now I do a lot of all paint pieces, but it was just a simple idea. It was a typewriter with a page coming out of it. And it was just something that me as a writer made sense, that I could put my words on a wall. So I had to Google and search and research if anybody had done that before in the street art world or the art world or anything. And when I found out nobody had, my passion just overflowed. Like, I had to mark my territory on the idea, and I just went out of my way like crazy. There was this 2-week period of time where I just wanted to learn how to make stencils, and I did all this research and I experimented. I started getting spray paint, and I just wanted to get the idea out there. And I did that pretty quickly. It was like a week and a half later, I was packing a backpack and going out there. Just the act of doing it, I was hooked. And I say that to this day because I never expected to make a dime. I never expected this kind of notoriety and just this enjoyment and success. I'd still be doing it even if that didn't come. Maybe not as often, maybe not as big. Now I do sides of buildings and things like that. So the opportunity has been great, but I'd still be doing it just because I know that thrill is there. But it was just me putting my thoughts out on a wall. Like, I was a person, a writer that moved to Hollywood to just do creative writing. And I wanted to, in a sense, be my own boss. Now I know that makes some writers or just creative people laugh because there's always, chefs in the kitchen in all those walks of life that we just talked about. However, when you're a street artist, it was so liberating to come up with an idea, to work on it, to polish it, to deem it ready, and then put it out in the streets. It's you were the end, you were the voice, you were the creator, you were the executor. It was just fantastic. So I loved that action. And then when I started noticing that the words were resonating with people and this snowball butterfly effect started happening, I was just so thrilled. It was just amazing. And it continues to go, you know what I mean? Just everything that's happened has happened organically. And I like that aspect of it too, but it's just been thrilling. So I just kind of, to answer your question, just fed off that wave of creativity, just like talking with people in the creative world. Just in the art world, I met so many incredible people. And at first I thought the industry or the world art world would be secretive. And it was the opposite. People were like, oh, I like your stuff. And let me show you like stencil making techniques, or do this with paint and stuff. And it's just, and I love that pay it forward attitude. Like I continue to do that. If anybody sends me a message, it's me answering my Instagram. I'll lend advice or just do anything. Like I loved getting your message of saying, hey, I have this idea, about a podcast, and I'm looking to just, talk to creative people. And I'm like, sign me up. I'm here. So yeah, I kind of just feed off that wave of creativity.
You're producing prints, you're doing commissions, you're putting up murals and street pieces, you're a writer on top of all that. How do you structure your day to stay as focused and productive as possible?
Well, I'm an early riser. I love getting up early and just starting my day when the city's still asleep. And I'm a coffee person, so I love that act of just, so that routine of coffee. I have a dog, so I go out for an early walk or break up my day with a walk. But to answer your question, it's always something different every day. I mean, back in the long form writing days, which I don't do as often now, but that's a good problem to have because the art career or just wordsmith keeps me pretty busy. But even back then, I would get up early and just start writing and loved it. Working on ideas, to me, is the best part of it. You kind of said the finishing product and querying and all that is great. For me, it was just, I loved that idea fruition and kind of figuring it out. And then I'm a percolator of ideas. So I kind of think about them or projects and multiple projects at a time, but I know when an idea is ready. And because I percolate, I usually sit down and it pours out of me. And I like that. Same with the art. But to answer your question, I write every day. I create every day. I try not to put the pressure on. Like it's easy to just put these, pressure of I'm not doing enough or self-imposed schedules. And that sounds like it's a good thing. And it is, and it isn't. You know what I mean? You have to let the ideas come when they come and grow when they grow and things of that nature. So I've always been a fan of that. Like I never get writer's block. I can get project block, but then I just kind of move to another idea and I'm still doing something, and it might be in a different form. Like I might be writing something, but I get blocked. But if I start, thinking about something else or doing something else creative, it's like those best ideas come in the shower, when you're not thinking about them, kind of thing. So I'm always doing something, and the art world lends itself really well to that. Like I could be trying to write things to get them out into the streets, and if it's not working, I go and paint some stuff, in my studio, and then I'm like, oh, that's how I'll say it. And it just seems to work for me to always be creating, however, not putting the pressure on, I have to have this by 5:00. That's not how it works in the creative world.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm kind of like you. I'm also an early riser, and I've got 2 kids. So my wife and I both are pursuing creative projects. And what we started doing was one of us wakes up at 6 a.m. and is allowed to leave the apartment for 2 hours and work on their stuff. And the other has to deal with the kids from 6 to 8, whenever they might wake up. And we alternate days. And like you, there are some days where I'm working on something and, if I kind of hit a bit of a wall, I just pivot to something else. For better or worse, I've always got a handful of balls in the air that I'm trying to push forward. I find that, like you, to be a useful tool to make sure you're always moving forward, is have a couple of things going. That way, if something's not working for that morning or that hour or that week, you can move to the next thing and push that one
Absolutely.
forward.
Yeah, even when I was just writing, I always did that, and it's, again, for what I said, I don't want to repeat myself, but it's a little easier in the art world because there's so many different aspects of what you can do. But I did that when I was writing long form, but I love that idea of sharing, days, because you do need that block of time. Even if you write an hour every day, work on something, carve out that time. And I'm saying your idea is great. Just carve out that time, or 2 hours every other day. You'll be amazed what you get done in a month or 6 months or whatever. So
It adds up.
I think even Stephen King does that. Like, one of the most prolific writers, I think he writes for like 2 or 3 hours a day and then stops. You know what I mean? But he's a morning person also. Oh, and that's also, as I say, like back in school, and I think a lot of writers find it romantic to do late at night. And I did that for a while, you know what I mean, out of school. But ultimately I hit a wall. Like, I would get tired, and I hated that. Like, if I was rolling and my mind, was shutting down, I'm like, screw this. So I really early on started getting up at 6 o'clock. And there's a story when I was in the advertising world and miserable that I started getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock to write for 2 hours before I went in. And I used to walk into the office going, this is a great day, because I just wrote for 2 hours. You know what I mean? It was amazing that you think you'd be dead tired, but you have so much adrenaline by the time 9 o'clock runs around because of what you accomplished.
And that you probably accomplished more than everyone that you're looking at.
That's when I started getting the chip on my shoulder of like, I got to get out of here, and I got a plan, and you guys are going to be in my wake, kind of thing. But yeah, you do walk in with
Little swagger.
Yeah, a little swagger. You don't even know what I've already accomplished, kind of thing. It's good. But yeah, it's interesting. You have to find the time. You have to put in the work. Any writer will tell you that. They go, the secret to writing is writing. There's all these cliches, you know what I mean? And you really just have to do it. You know what I mean? It's the act of writing. Like you said, a lot of people don't like that and fight it, but it's like, if you're not doing the writing, you're not a writer.
A lot of your pieces are inspirational and push people to work hard and follow their dreams. My thought is that those are, and I think you actually maybe mentioned this earlier, that those are things that you would have wanted to hear. Where do you find your inspiration to put those out and push people to, follow their dreams?
It's a great question. I am a positive person, so I really do, believe in that positivity. That doesn't make any sense. That positivity of, if you want to do something, if you want to write, if you want to act, if you want to sing, if you want to play music, you know what I mean? You have to be positive about it. You have to dream bigger. You have to, just throw yourself into it and enjoy it. We already said that. So it comes from a lot of different things. Like as I am immersed in the world, at first it was Hollywood or just the creative world. I like to have that positive spin on it. And then as a writer, if I'm marrying it with that, I'm coming up with new ways of saying that. I mean, I don't want to belittle my work, but if you look at it, it's like, it is a constant theme, but that's all writing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or any kind of writing, songwriting or anything. It is kind of saying the same thing in a lot of different creative ways. And some of that comes just from me exploring it and thinking about it. Some come from conversation, some come from muses, but it's just something that I believe in. And another reason with the street art with Wordsmith is, when I started thinking about doing street art, I saw a lot of political art. I saw a lot of negative art. And again, being a positive person was like, fuck that. And no respect. There's some amazing art that's out there, you know what I mean? That is dark, that is political, that is, everything that I guess I'm not, or didn't aim to be. And what I'm getting at is, I kind of said, I'm going to be the positive person. I want to put positive messages out there. I want to say things at the time to people in Los Angeles that I wish they would have said to me. And it just kind of evolved from that. And then there's romantic pieces and then funny pieces, but it was just something that I knew I wanted to aim for. I will say, like, over the years, and especially like the last, 2 years, I did get a little political, but that's because there was just a lot going on in the world. And I'm not going to shy away from that. However, I like being that person that you'll maybe turn a corner, see a piece, and it'll make you smile or think or take a picture. And that's the butterfly or ripple effect that I was talking about. I've heard people say, oh, it just made me smile, and I took that with me, and then I got to where I was being and was in such a good mood, and I believe that just kind of spreads, and I like that. Or the act of taking the picture. A lot of people can rip on that and rip on Instagram. I think it's an amazing thing, that we live in this world of technology, which, sure, there can be some bad of it. But as far as what I was trying to accomplish, if somebody took a picture and sent it to somebody to affect their day or to express themselves to that person, that's massive, for me, because it's not about, awareness. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that ripple effect. I want people to see my pieces. That's why I paint them all over the world and bigger on sides of buildings and as big as you can, because I know it's affecting people. It is making a difference. And the act of the internet or Instagram or sharing pictures or texting is a great thing for that. You know what I mean? When you're trying to spread a message, use whatever medium you can. And that sounds obvious, but I'm amazed how some people fight it, you know what I mean? And just say, I don't know, it's like things like that, or for specifically talk about Instagram can get a bad rap. And I never understood that.
You touched on it earlier, but I think there are a lot of different definitions of success. I mean, I personally would probably measure success by the effect that you've had on people who connect with your art, and then to a lesser extent, being able to live on that art and continue to produce the thing that's working. Why do you think you've been successful?
There was a little adage that I heard when I first arrived in Hollywood, and I think Steven Soderbergh said it, and he said, talent plus perseverance equals luck. And I think there was be ready when it happens, but it's the first part. Talent plus perseverance equals luck. When you were asking that question, that just popped in my head, and I hadn't thought about it in a while. But I think that is it. Like I was gonna say, I was very lucky. You know what I mean? In maybe in the right place at the right time. Like I was in Los Angeles, started to do street art. Street art was going through a renaissance. Instagram was just blowing up. So there is things in the equation, that make sense. But I'm going to go back to the other thing. I believe in my writing. I always did, you know what I mean, on a daily basis. I wrote that also. It's don't be discouraged if other people don't like it. Just find the one person who loves it. I mean, that's the secret to writing screenplays or writing anything. So I believed that about my writing and I just believed in my writing. So that's where the talent comes in, you know what I mean? And I'm not arrogant, you know what I mean? But I believed in my talent. And then I was just going to continue to do it and wrote in a lot of different mediums. And it's funny to say it in this way, like you write in a lot of different mediums, or you write a lot of different things, and you're wondering what's going to stick to the wall. When I started painting on walls is when people were like, that's awesome. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Something I did for myself, something I started on a whim, something I thought I would never make a dime doing. I just wanted to express myself and have fun and do street art. I mean, street art's just a kick-ass medium. I'll tell you, like, even 9 years later, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. You know what I mean? And I'm good at it. Like, I didn't expect to be good at it, but I had this like hidden talent in me that I just discovered. So I'm having the time of my life even 9 years later. But to answer your question, it was a bit of luck, you know what I mean? In I think the idea was simple. I think about it now and I'm like, that's why I got so excited about it. When I found out that nobody had done it, I'm like, oh my God, I got to make this a reality. And what I thought were going to be small stickers turned into small pieces, you know, paint plus paper. And then it's just, once you get bitten by that bug, and any street artist will tell you about the first night they go out and the adrenaline rush. Like, you just feed off that. And I just wanted to keep doing it in more places, larger, brighter, and just, and that continues to this day. And then the other thing that I was going to say is I got a lot of opportunity, which was great over the years. Like, commissions started coming in, and that's when I first saw, wow, people want to have these words in their life and in their house. And that was great because it brought in money, and I got to say, no to some jobs. Like, I used to write in documentary TV, like reality TV and documentary TV, and all those unsolved crime stories. I got to start saying no to jobs like that because I started making some money at commissions, and just wanted to see how big this thing could go. But over time, I get a lot of opportunity with walls. But what I'm getting at is, I'm a street artist, and people ask, like, how much of your work is commission or not commissioned, sanctioned. It's always going to be 50% now, because I do get a lot of opportunity. I get a lot of opportunity to do walls and buildings and installs in businesses and things like that, collaborations. However, I still love putting renegade thoughts up in the street, and I'll continue to do that. I always cite that, like, I was sent to Auckland, New Zealand, which was just awesome, to do 10 pieces inside of this rugby stadium. The week that I was there, I did 10 pieces throughout the city, because I would walk around at night and go, I'm going to hit that wall. You know what I mean? So it's always going to be 50% now, but that's amazing to say that I get to do it full time and get that kind of opportunity.
Is there anything you want to plug or talk about?
Wordsmith.com. It's wordsmith with no vowels. You know what I mean? That's where you can see me and my art and what I'm about. I do sell prints and shirts, and that's a great thing. You know what I mean? But it's really, of course, it's my business, but it's just a way for people to, if they can't afford the art on the wall, the canvas, and they want the words and, positivity or romantic thoughts in their life. You know what I mean? There's an opportunity for them to get it. And then Wordsmith is also on Instagram. Again, Wordsmith, no vowels. That's it. You know what I mean? I wrote a book that I'm very proud of. It was my firstborn, and it's called The Golden Age of Hollywood, and that's available on the website. Anybody interested in Hollywood or the screenwriting process, or just, that world, I kind of really love what I wrote, and I've gotten compliments on it. I kind of turned the world upside down and wrote this neo-noir tale about it's a mystery, and there's a lot going on in it, but I'm really, really proud of it. And I have a second book in me that I've been percolating. So at some point I'm going to debut that, and I'm not plugging my ideas, but I'm just saying, it's more to come. And that's really it. Just, if you haven't heard of me, check me out. If you like what you see, that's great. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on with me today.
It's been great. Thank you. It was a really, really fun, fluid conversation.
Thank you so much for listening today. Please subscribe to the Artist Work Ethic podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts, and please rate and review the show. Follow us on Instagram at The Artist's Work Ethic, and check out theartistsworkethic.com.